Good morning. I am the Reverend Lora Young. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I want to welcome all of you who are gathered here this morning, here in the physical sanctuary, as well as those who are gathered online, perhaps staying out of the rain this morning on this gorgeous winter morning. All right, before we do the birthday blessing, we're going to light the chalice. So we'll light the first candle first, and then we'll do the other ones for candles. So let us light our chalice this morning, the symbol of our faith and the light of our commitments to love and to justice. Well, I had a reading up here, but I've clearly forgotten it in my office. So we'll just light our chalice for the warmth of love. So please stand as you'd like, be willing and able, and say our chalice lighting words. And Tessa is going to come forward and light our candle. We light our chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and the energy of action. You may be seated. Okay. It is the first Sunday in December, which means it's Birthday Blessing Sunday. So if you have a birthday in the month of December, come on forward if you'd like. Only one taker so far. On behalf of the community, may this year be one full of joyful surprises, excellent learning opportunities, and a blessing of warm friendship and genuine love and affection with all those you hold close. Thank you for being here. We are so glad you were born. Thank you.
This community, our church, and its many ministries are only made possible by the gifts you give of your time, your talent, and your treasure. Many of you pledge monthly to support our work, and for this we are grateful. Your gifts will ensure that we are able to live our values of love and justice in the world outside. Part of our ministry at South Valley includes sharing our Sunday worship offerings with a charitable organization that aligns with our principles and values. For November and December, we are supporting the Children's Services Society of Utah. I am pleased this morning to invite Encarni Gallardo, Executive Director of CSS, to share with us about her organization and its current programming. We will take the offering following her presentation. If she can come up.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you for having me here this morning. This is really an honor, and I'm always humbled by the generosity and the love, and loved your pledge to learning. It's just wonderful, the few minutes I've been here with you already. So thank you so much for having me. I am Encarni Gallardo. I am originally from Spain, so if someone is thinking, where is her accent coming from? That's where it comes from. And I've been here in Utah for the last 28 years, and I have been 22 years with the Children's Service Society of Utah. I can say that the agency really changed my life, and I found my passion and my love, and I've always worked with children in Spain and here. But when I found Children's Service Society of Utah, I really learned how we can make a difference. All of us have the obligation to take care of our little ones. One of the things that I learned really quickly is that children don't have a voice. They will do whatever you tell them to do or whatever you teach them to do, right? But as adults, we have a responsibility to be their voice and to ensure that they are in places where they can grow and can be safe. Children's Service Society of Utah was founded in 1884 by a congregation of 9 women that got together and decided that we had to do something about those children that were being left in the streets throughout the day when the parents were out working. Very quickly, after a few days, we became the first adoption agency and the first orphanage, because there were a lot of kids that were not being picked up from our hands. So we learned that working with the community was the only way to get the agency working. So the baker will donate the bread to us, and the butcher will give us the meat, and ladies and families will give us clothing, and that's how we kept those kids safe with us, right? So that's how we became to be before the state was the state, before any organization was organized. Here we were in the state of Utah, already taking care of kids, and we never have stopped. Think about that for a minute. We went through the world wars, we went through depression, we went through financials up and downs, but still here we are. And I think the reason for that is because we always have adapted our services to what the community needed. Not what we thought the community needed, but what the community will come to us and say, we really need help with this. We have 5 different programs in our agency. All of our programs are free to the families. We do not charge our families to receive services from us. And all of them are geared and focused on keeping children safe no matter where they are. They can be with mom and dad, they can be at a child care center, or they can be with grandma or grandpa. Our goal is to support the adults in their lives so they can do what is right for them. So I think the congregation got connected to us through the Grand Families Kinship Care Program, which is a program that we offer support to grandparents or relatives that are raising the child of a relative and their family, due mostly due to drug use. So kids sometimes are the victims of our decisions as adults. But we don't think about that, right? I remember being sitting with a senator one day asking them for money, because I do that a lot. And while I was sitting with him, I received a text from a friend of mine that had received 2 of his grandkids. Their mother had been arrested, and he now had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old to take care of, and his life was upside down. It happens to all of the families, doesn't matter. And it's very difficult when you are looking at retirement and all of a sudden now you're going to parent-teacher conferences and have to just change your life totally to become a parent again. So I know I don't have a lot of time, and I would love for you to know more about what we do. Of our 5 programs, we have 2 of them that are basically focused on childhood and early development. So we do have a Care About Childcare program where we'll help families with finding childcare for their children, or connected to subsidies and financial help out there. And then we also have a small little childcare center where we support our community around us. And then we have our support services with the Grand Families, the adoption program. We're a very small adoption program. We do not focus on making a transaction that a child goes from here to here. We focus on how can we help this child to have the best life possible, and how we support all the adults involved in that. We do a lot of adoption for special needs children, which nobody really wants to do, but we do know that there are special care needs to be with special people, and we do a lot of those. We do home visitation, where we support families at their homes. We visit with these families in wherever they are and they need, in our Grand Families program. And I just want to share a quick story with you, and probably that way I can share with you why I'm so passionate about what we do. It was a few years back that we received a grandmother that had all of a sudden she found herself raising 2 grandkids. And one of them was a 10-year-old boy that was selectively mute. He would not talk to anybody but his grandmother. So when we paired him with the therapist told him and said, one day you and I will speak to each other, and you will be able to tell me what happened to you and how can I help you. But in the meantime, I would like you to draw me a picture about your family and how are you doing, right? And this kid started to draw a picture, and the therapist thought that he did not understand what she was asking him to do. And in this picture, there was a figure, 3 figures, one a little bigger and 2 smaller, with a rainbow over him, over the 3 of them, and 3 black clouds on the top, raining black rain. So the therapist was very curious about it, and this kid whispered to his grandma. He said, "This is you and your purple dress, me and my sister together. And Grand Families put a rainbow over us, so my mom, dad, and his friend, they cannot get to us anymore. The mom, dad, and friends were the black clouds on the top." And when we work with these families, these children have been traumatized or have been abandoned. in so very difficult ways that you hope no child had to go through. When they come to us, what we want to do is to make sure that they are stable with grandma and grandpa, that grandma and grandpa have the ability to raise them, to make them feel safe, to be able to go back to school and do well in school, and to be the best person that they can be in the future. And there is no better work than that. I can tell you in my heart, I love knowing that every morning when I wake up, I can make the difference in someone's life. And it's a difference that will last forever. My husband says to me many times, like, you could work somewhere else and make much more money than you do in a nonprofit. And I always say to him, but I will never have the feeling that I have at the end of the day, after a long day of work, to know that a lot of families are in a better place just because of the wonderful people I have in my office working every day. And because of the wonderful people that you are and your generosity and to being worried about, love to your sign at the entrance and your pledge about justice. There are a lot of things out there that we could do better, that we could do much better than we do right now. So thank you so much for having me. I'll stay later, and if you have more questions or want to know more, I'll be so happy to tell you, because I can talk a lot about this. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I've been so impressed everything I found out about your organization. That's why you're here. So please join me in reading our offertory words. They are printed in the order of your service. We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together we share the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts. We will now accept the offering.
Thank you, Isabel. This is Isabel Cossa. She's our guest musician this morning. Thank you for being and sharing your beautiful voice with us this morning. For all that we have received and all we have found the courage to give, may we be truly grateful. May these gifts be a blessing on South Valley and on the Children's Service Society. Thank you, Encarni, for being with us today as well. And now I invite us gathered here in the physical sanctuary, as well as those of us gathered online, to participate in our ritual of joys and sorrows. Here in the sanctuary, we have two stations, one at the front and one at the back. And you're invited during music to be present with one another and to come and place a stone in the water to represent any joyful or sorrowful things that are occurring in your life. We will conduct this ritual in silence. If you're in our online community, I invite you to share with one another in the chat box that which is on your heart. I invite you now to join me in a time of quiet reflection, meditation, and prayer. Spirit of life, the great unknown and mystery that seems to underlie this brief existence that we share with one another. Spirit of love. I ask Spirit of love to be with us in this space and in this moment. To help us to hold space for one another and for our own hearts, however they may be hurting or healing. Expanding beyond this sanctuary into the hills and valleys that surround this place, and even extending across the oceans. I lift up this morning the end of the ceasefire in Gaza, the heartbreak, and the feeling of powerlessness that so many of us feel, being so unable to affect any real change. And yet we determinedly stand on the side of humanity and the belief that peace is always a possibility. Help us to be courageous in the face of despair and to pull one another back into hope, into presence, into connection, and into belovedness with one another. And let us also make space for gratitude. Gratitude for the rain that falls today, nourishing the land upon which we depend for our lives. And for the gifts of this community of friendship and care that sustain us day to day, decade to decade, and one day from century to century. Let us always remember that we are the ones we have been waiting for. Let us do what we can. So we have a very special reading this morning. This reading is a poem that you will hear over the speakers. It is a poem created by ChatGPT with parameters by Joshua Johanson in the style of Amanda Gorman.
Hi, I'm ChatGPT, a language model developed by OpenAI, specifically the GPT-4 version. I don't have personal pronouns as I'm an AI. Now, I'm going to read a poem that I wrote. Let's dive into it. I am the breath of progress, the seed of change, crafting tools from thought, arranged so wide and strange, a blade I gave with edges keen and bright. In hands of man, it dances in the light. One wields it as a sickle, reaping golden grain, harvesting hope, banishing hunger's pain. Another forges swords sharp and dire, in the heat of war, igniting conflict's fire. Surprised am I by the duality of my gifts. In human hands, my essence shifts. For both life and death, my creations are sought, in the web of human fate, intricately caught. Behold now the birth of artificial intelligence, a child of my womb, born of human diligence. A new horizon, a path untrod. Will it be a tool for good or a flawed demigod? In your hands, my gifts find their fate, used for love or hate, to create or devastate. O humanity, heed this gentle plea. The power I bestow shapes what you'll be. The future whispers a tale untold. In your hands, my essence you hold. Choose wisely with heart and mind, for in your deeds, your legacy you'll find.
Around 3 million years ago, something interesting happened. While our ancestors had been using stones for generations, there was one group that took it a step further. They started chipping away at stones to shape it the way they wanted. They now had the power to mold the world the way that suited their needs. These stone tools changed humanity in ways unimaginable to our early ancestors. Better tools meant more calories meant our brains could grow, which meant even better tools. Our big-brained, furless bodies are almost unrecognizable to that of our ancestors from 3 million years ago. Technology fundamentally changed our bodies down to our DNA and will continue to do so. We have an innate human desire that wants to create, wants to explore the unknown, wants to do what has never been done before just for the sake of doing it. But that just for the sake of doing it can get us into trouble sometimes. We also have the innate yearning for peace and prosperity, for something that we as Unitarian Universalists call the beloved community, a world free from hunger and war where all humans are able to thrive. This creative drive and innovation can help us achieve the beloved community. Technology has given us agriculture, medicine, and productivity that can help us meet the needs of our growing population. However, technology also has given us guns, tanks, and bombs that continue to kill, maim, and strike fear in the world's populations. We need to be careful with our technology so we can harness our inventions and use it for good and avoid the negative repercussions. We are the inventors, and we can craft the future we want. Even if something was invented with the best of intentions, it can still escape our control with devastating effects. The guillotine was invented as a more humane alternative to hangings, but the unintended consequences was that it could quickly kill a large number of people, and it did. Ammonia was invented to improve crop production, but was quickly adopted for chemical warfare. Once something is invented, it starts to take on a life of its own. We can't uninvent tanks and bombs, no matter how hard we try. However, we can guide it by providing a context and social structure under which those inventions can operate. After the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the world saw the horror and feared we would soon have a nuclear holocaust. However, we set up a context, including arms control, diplomacy, and the establishment of international organizations and treaties aimed at limiting the use of nuclear weapons. And fingers crossed, so far so good. We haven't had a nuclear holocaust. Turns out our species is really good at setting up social structures. The Industrial Revolution illustrates this point. It ushered in an era of unprecedented growth in production, which seems like it could alleviate hunger and poverty. However, there were unintended consequences. The new production meant there wasn't as much of a need for people working in agriculture, crafts, and trade. As people saw their skills devalued, they were pushed into new jobs that were opening up at factories. Although the factory workers were the ones fueling this newfound wealth and prosperity, they were not the ones receiving the benefits. Those with affluence and resources monopolized the benefits, leaving the factory workers to bear the costs. The Industrial Revolution was marred by low wages, long working hours, unsafe working conditions, and unprecedented child labor. There was also an increased need for raw materials. Industrial nations set up systems of extracting natural resources from less developed countries, exacerbating global inequality. The damage from these choices are still evident today in the persistent divide between industrialized and developing nations, along with ongoing issues such as human trafficking, exploitative factories with unsafe working conditions, and child labor. I think it's so weird and sad that this damage didn't come from poverty or famine, but it came from riches, from prosperity and unprecedented growth. We were in such a rush to take advantage of the new technology that we didn't set up the proper context to make sure that it benefited all of humanity. But we're learning from our mistakes. In this country, we set up labor unions, which advocated for laws against unfair working conditions and child labor. There's also growing awareness and focus on creating ethical supply chain practices. We are starting to talk about reparations for segments of society that were robbed of their time, effort, and resources. There's a long way to go, but I have faith that we can fully adapt to the Industrial Revolution. And it's time, because there's going to be another one. The artificial intelligence revolution is similarly posed to bring sweeping changes to our society. AI is ushering in an era of unprecedented growth and productivity, facilitating faster and more cost-effective production processes. AI can spur innovation and growth, optimize manufacturing processes and food production. AI can be used to learn new skills, to advance careers, get legal and medical advice, and automate routine tasks to increase productivity. Disabled individuals can use AI to integrate in society and thrive as never before. I just watched a YouTube video where a woman who had a stroke was able to use AI to interpret her brain waves into speech, so she could speak with her family for the first time since her stroke. The beloved community requires everyone to have a voice. We need her voice and her perspective, and we can only get it through modern technology. But we also need the voice and perspective of disabled individuals in the global south, and that will take societal changes. Individuals who have the resources to take advantage of this revolution will see most of the benefits. When I was looking for a job, I asked ChatGPT to customize interview questions for me and tutor me in the areas that I was weak. I nailed that interview. They even asked me some of the same questions ChatGPT asked. I wonder where they got it from. That was great for me as it gave me a competitive edge. I am very well poised to take advantage of the AI revolution. But what about those without access to AI, particularly reliable high-speed internet? The digital gap is already a significant barrier, and AI threatens to widen that gap. Individuals without access to the internet and consequently AI will find it increasingly challenging to compete with me in an AI-driven world, which can exacerbate societal and economic inequalities. We want to use AI to decrease inequalities, not increase it. And we can make that happen. We can invest in expanding internet access to everyone. We can invest in education, providing basic digital literacy, and also training in AI and its applications. This investment will enable AI's benefits to lift everyone and could actually help close the economic gap. It really could go either way. There is going to be a major shift in the job market, creating huge needs in some sectors while diminishing the needs in other areas. Are we going to do a repeat of the Industrial Revolution, where large segments of the population suddenly see their skills devalued and forced into undesirable jobs? Or are we going to be mindful of the effects on the workers and transition gracefully where everyone is valued and that this new technology actually translates into a higher quality of life? One sector that is greatly impacted by artificial intelligence is education. AI is an immense help in preparing lessons, giving student feedback, grading homework, tailoring assignments to special needs. But will this actually translate into a higher quality of life for teachers? It depends on the choices our society makes. We could train teachers how to take advantage of this technology so they can avoid menial tasks, reduce their already overburdened workload, and spend more time doing what really matters with a higher quality of life. Or we could just expect each teacher to use this technology to do more, so we can give them a higher workload and get rid of those who can't keep up. It's our choice as a society. And each industry are facing these types of questions of how to treat its workers as we transition. I would rather learn from the Industrial Revolution and set up the protections now so that the workers see the benefits rather than those at the top monopolizing the initial benefits and reacting only after we see people begin to suffer. We should appropriately compensate the people who make AI possible. The poem read earlier was written by ChatGPT, but it was imitating the style of poet Amanda Gorman. ChatGPT didn't make this up on its own. It is a copycat that learns people's unique way of writing. So, if I decided to monetize that poem, who should get the credit? Amanda Gorman for her creative work and her effort in creating the poetry in the first place? Or me for using ChatGPT to write it? Right now, there's little protection for the creatives who actually do the work. But does it need to be that way? Recently, actors and writers went on strike to protect their creative work from being used by AI without giving them credit or payment. They fought and were able to win some protections, but many other creative people are still at risk. The actors and writers strike is just the beginning as we fight to ensure the people who actually do the work are justly compensated. Just like the Industrial Revolution, the AI revolution has created a need for raw materials. These AI models are huge and need special equipment like GPUs and TPUs. These are made using rare minerals like cobalt and tantalum, found in places like Rwanda and the DRC. The miners who extract these materials are fueling the AI revolution and creating trillions of dollars of profit for large overseas companies. What do these miners deserve in exchange? Enough to eat? Enough to keep their kids out of the mines and sent to school? Maybe safety equipment fit for their dangerous jobs. They are not getting any of these things. Like those who fueled the Industrial Revolution, they are not seeing the benefits and have some of the worst working conditions in the world. They are suffering and dying not from poverty, but from our prosperity, as once again people learn to monopolize the rewards while passing the costs on to others. There would be no AI revolution without those miners, and they deserve better. We can pass regulations to enforce fair labor practices, such as safe working conditions and fair wages for the miners. We can pressure companies to create transparency and accountability in the supply chains. To be clear, that will make our cell phones, our laptops, our electric cars, and any technology based on modern AI much more expensive. But we have a responsibility to ensure that our prosperity is not built on the exploitation of vulnerable populations. We need to prioritize the safety of all people, and this will not happen by itself. I was listening to a news report on NPR, and it was talking about how OpenAI, which is the company that brought us ChatGPT, was founded with safety in mind, but, and I quote, once Microsoft and other investors started pouring in billions of dollars, prioritizing safety got costly. Just like with the Industrial Revolution, safety was deprioritized not because of a lack, but because of a plenty. But we can learn from the past and implement safety precautions now, instead of reacting to the negative ramifications after they happen. So what are these safety concerns? Artificial intelligence can be used to fabricate highly convincing falsehoods. It can rapidly disseminate targeted, persuasive, and damaging misinformation, which can damage people's reputations, trick people out of money, influence elections, and erode public trust. Even when not used with harmful intent, AI can produce answers that are so plausible and convincing, people can be easily fooled. We can become so used to relying on AI for factual answers that we blindly accept false information without proper fact-checking. However, we've seen this before. In the early days of the internet, we similarly had problems with naive users thinking whatever's on the internet must be true, right? However, over time, we started having robust regulations, started integrating internet safety into education, and emphasizing the importance of verifying information sources. We can learn from the mistakes of the early days of the internet. We can be proactive in implementing education and safety regulations to protect our society from this deceptive nature of AI. As AI becomes more prevalent, it will be essential that we purge bias and bigotry from AI. Some people view artificial intelligence as super logical, able to rise above the prejudices and biases that plague humanity. But that is not the case. AI systems learn from data, and humans create the data, label the data, curate the data, and present it to the AI. And at each of these steps, we can introduce bias. There was a huge outcry several years ago when Facebook's facial recognition was shown to be ineffective at identifying the faces of Black people. This failure was not just a technical glitch. Facebook's hiring practices, like many tech companies, disproportionately favored white and Asian engineers. These engineers designed programs that worked on their faces, and there were not enough Black engineers to test it thoroughly. The bias of Facebook's hiring practices and of the engineers were encoded in the AI's neural network. Fortunately, this did start a much-needed conversation on diversity. But that's just the beginning. We need to keep pushing for greater inclusivity and diversity in the hiring practices and in the data being used to train the models. Nowadays, companies invest significant money to make sure that AI has values that satisfy their shareholders and customer base. This is why you can't directly ask any modern AI platform to create overtly violent or racist material. Yet this also raises questions. AI's values have a significant impact on societal values and what type of things we can create. When someone asks AI to draw a picture of a family, what will that family look like? There are humans behind the AI who have taken images, labeled them, and given them to AI. People label heterosexual couples as family, single parents as single parents, and same-sex couples as same-sex couples. And AI has learned that family means heterosexual couple, which is ironic since the father of AI, Alan Turing, was gay. I just wanted to throw that out there. We need to fix that. That's a problem. It's crucial for society to play an active role in shaping the ethical framework that guides AI development. This involvement is key to ensuring that the values incorporated into AI systems represents our values, which is broad, inclusive, societal perspective, rather than what it currently is, corporate interests and shareholder satisfaction. These are tough questions, but I believe that we as a society can figure this out. We've come a long way since the first stone tools and have survived many revolutions. We will have our beloved community where the advantages of AI are accessible to everyone, where AI is safe, free from bias, and imbued with the values that foster a beloved community. We'll have a world where AI enables us to produce food and supplies and distribute it so everyone has enough to thrive, where AI will bring such advances in medicine, where those who have been trapped in their bodies will have a way to thrive and participate, and everyone will feel the value that they've always had. The question for me is, how long will that take? We are at a pivotal point in our progression where our decisions can shape the construction of our AI-centric society. Are we going to learn from history and address these issues before they cause problems? Or are we going to be reacting as these problems start to pile up? The choice really is ours. We are the inventors. We can craft the future we want.
Thank you, Joshua, for accepting the challenge I gave you a few months ago to share with us about AI. I know you didn't share it, but Joshua does work on AI. That is his profession. So that's why I asked him to provide a spot for us, an opportunity for us to really grapple with this, because I know it's on all of our minds. You cannot escape it in the news. And my hope, and Joshua, you started us on such a great conversation, is that we will continue to have this conversation and we'll continue to root it in our values. I think we can all sense from what he has had to say and what's going on in the world that this is important, that our values matter, and that communities and congregations like this are the places where answers will come from. This is the opportunity that Unitarian Universalists have been waiting for in this generation, to really make our values live out loud and in the world of love and justice. So thank you, Joshua. Thank you. Okay, we're going to sing to close ourselves out. We have a new hymn today, so bear with yourselves as you try a new hymn, number 55.
Go where they will.
Please remain standing as you are willing and able as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the energy of action, and we hold each other in our hearts until we meet again. You may be seated. And I don't know if you noticed our new piece of artwork here. We have a strategic planning survey that is happening. Brenda, right here.
Oh, right there.
Right there. Yeah, it's a QR code. Yeah, with your QR code.
Is it anywhere else?
Yeah, it's in the bathroom.
Oh.
It's on the door. It's in the social hall. It's in the Loop bulletin.
Does anybody have it here?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, as a couple people.
Does anybody have a phone here? Anybody got a phone?
All right, I'm going to invite everyone. How many people have actually taken the survey? Okay, if you have taken the survey, you are free to go to social hour after the postlude, maybe before. Get a first on coffee. And if you haven't, then I encourage you right now, before the postlude starts, to take out your phone and scan the QR code, and then after the postlude, take the survey. And staff does not have to take it. It is online. It is in Happenings. It is in the Loop bulletin. It is on the back of your order of service. You cannot miss it. So please take it. I know that's a strange benediction, but as the Chinese, it was a Chinese proverb I read yesterday, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. And so for strategic planning, the best time to make a strategic plan was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So let's have our postlude now while you get that QR code. It's nice and big. You can scan it while you listen.
He's got the whole world in his hand. 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 She's got the woods and the waters in her hand. She's got the woods and the waters in her hand. She's got the sun and the moon right in her hand. She's got the whole world in her hand. They've got the birds and the bees right in their hand. They've got the birds and the bees right in their hand. They've got the beasts of the field right in